Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wiseman Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on what is falling into place for you now. So I look forward to sharing this reading with you. If you enjoy this reading, please do like, subscribe, press the bell icon. Of course, check out the details and links below. And from here forward, we will get started. I'm going to place a picture up of your 3 card piles to choose from today. As always, you are choosing from left to right. All right, card pile 1. What is falling into place for you now? So I feel like some of the changes that you've been looking forward to or wanting to experience, create, or implement for a while or a long time, some things you've been sort of thinking about, daydreaming about, considering, sort of chewing on are now coming into full existence. So it feels like one of those energies where you kind of mull over something for a while and you sort of sit on it or consider it or reconsider it, or you do all these things with it, but eventually comes to a head, and then that's when you actually leap. That's when you actually take the jump and start to implement. For some people, it tends to be a rock bottom, right? I'm not feeling that energy at all for this group. Not that you haven't had one before that hasn't been relevant in the past or even relevant to this at some point on your journey, but I'm not feeling that energy right now. It feels like all of the energy had to gain momentum or form or something like that and be built up over time to where you were like, okay, I'm ready. The changes are happening. I can do this. It feels like you taking back the reins in your life, taking back responsibility, taking your power back, and all the areas and sort of gaps in your life or deficits where you weren't fully showing up, or you were waiting on life to do it for you or save you or show you, or you were waiting for something to happen or needle to move, or you were giving yourself more time or making excuses or rationalizing why you couldn't or justifying your current behavior, like those kinds of things we tend to do as humans. It's like you have finally gotten to a point where you're actually ready to take the leap. You might see that you are taking action in some ways, bolder action than you have before, where you're putting things into place, you're implementing things, you're doing the thing. So for some of you, it just feels like the areas in which you were sort of waiting on things to happen or hoping, wishing, praying things would happen, you have decided to now make happen. You have decided to put the power back in your hands, and you're saying, okay, I wanted some changes in career and job. I'm doing those things. I'm either looking for something else, I'm self-studying, I am furthering my education, I am asking for the promotion, I'm asking for the raise, I'm asking for the job change, I'm putting into practice the things that I've been thinking about or daydreaming about or considering. Perhaps it's working out, eating clean, getting healthy, where you thought about it for a while, were unsure how it was going to look or work or how it was going to take form, and you've now decided or taken action. But a lot of this feels like very much firm decisions, like in your energy, it is done. Like the energy feels like it is done, it is arranged for, it has already begun, it has already happened. And that's a lot of times the energy that we're waiting on. Not that we're waiting on it, but that's just sort of how it works, where once we're in that zone of decision, I've made this decision, everything tends to open up way easier in terms of the energy coming forward and the things that need to change or the things that need to happen or unfold or manifest in order to make way for this. Like the clearing of obstacles and all that stuff tends to happen once we've anchored in that decision. That is as opposed to thinking about it, wondering about it, being curious about it. Can I, if I do, I want, I... See how that's a totally different energy? And so you've anchored in this decision, you've moved forward. And so it's okay, that fitness plan is actually happening. Changes around perhaps how you live your daily life, your daily routine, your lifestyle, your family, your children. Maybe you're starting to delegate things. Maybe you have hired out. Maybe you have found support. Maybe you have ordered food so that way your food is already taken care of and cooked and arranged for. But in one way or another, you are moving forward in the ways that you know are required for you to experience the greater life, greater vision, greater dream that you have in store for yourself. So it's like you flicked that first domino, the dominoes are falling. Whereas before you sat there sort of ruminating about that first domino, like, him and Han, deciding if, deciding when, just the energy either wasn't there, you weren't ready, who knows. For each of you, it's going to be different. But now the dominoes are starting to fall. You might feel some momentum. You might feel some shifting. You might feel some energy, a pull toward a new direction, or a focus, or a call to even cut out distractions, a call to cut out the BS, a call to no longer give attention to the parts of you that are self-sabotaging, that are trying to throw you off the path, or sort of destabilize you, or take away your focus and concentration. It's like you're becoming more disciplined. You're willing to be more consistent. You're setting into practice and setting into action all the things that you have been wanting to move forward in your life for some time. So you're moving the needle here. You're moving things forward, finally getting to that place where you're like, I've had enough of the old, I'm ready for the new, and I'm now taking charge and I'm doing what's required in order to shift these things into place. Yeah, because this is the energy that was always like wanting, like it was always wanting to come into your life. This is the energy that was always available to you and coming toward you, to where you were a little bit more adaptive with life, a little bit more responsive, a little bit more willing to do what you needed to do, right, in order to create what you wanted to create. It's kind of that energy of, let's just say someone is really rigid in their style or their strategy in life, right? Well, think of a boxer, and I use it a lot. I think it's so simple, and let's just say he has one move and he just like stands there on defense, right? Or maybe he has one hook or something. I don't know anything about boxing. But anyway, he just has one move, and like life, this other boxer, his opponent is coming toward him with all these different moves, and all this guy knows is this. He's not going to get very far, right? It's almost like, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to move, nothing's going to happen. So, but once you can get into this energy where you can be responsive to life and more like dance with life, so to speak, and get in the energy of being available for what you need to be available for, or becoming responsible where you need to become responsible, or stepping into leadership or empowerment where you need to, taking back your power. It's like you can move here and you can move here and you can move here and you can do an uppercut, and there's all these different things you can do. You didn't have to just sit there and do this and hope, hopefully I win with this one move. It's like, no, you're willing to sort of get your hands in the dirt, so to speak, do what you need to do, show up how you need to show up, and adapt your response, or change things up, or switch things up, or do what you need to do in order to accomplish your aim. It's not enough for you to sit back and relax anymore. It's not enough for you to sort of put everything on hold and wait. It's not enough for you to be like, okay, I'm just going to keep putting this on pause. I'm not really sure, wibbly wobbly, like if and maybe, and that kind of energy that's really uncertain, unclear. It's like, this is decisive. This is I don't want to say certain, but it has that energy to it, right? We can't necessarily be certain about an outcome, but we can be certain in our energy. And I feel like this is what life was waiting on for you, in terms of just being able to open the door to greater abundance. It was always saying, this is here for you, but it's going to be up to you, right? You're going to have to be the one to make the first move, to take the leap, to say the thing, to do the thing, to press the button, to make the call, to answer the email, to say the word, to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it was always going to be up to you, and spirit can walk through the door and support you and be like, okay, here it is. Here's the opportunity. Here's the thing. Here's what you need. Here's the step. Here's the strategy. But you're going to have to be the one to take that first step, or initiate, or be available to something, right? It doesn't always mean it's going to be necessarily easy or like hand delivered to you, but it means you create the space for it to arise or arrive, right? When you say, I'm ready for this, you're creating a space for something to show up in your reality. It might take some time and some filtering out and some sorting to get the just right thing, just right job, just right opportunity, just right path, just right direction, just right thing, whatever that is for you. And you wouldn't ever have it at all if you didn't create that space and say, I'm ready. I'm doing the dang thing. I'm making the call, the email, sending that text, doing this, doing that, whatever is required, right? I'm signing up for that gym membership or fitness plan. I'm signing up for that author program. I'm signing up for, maybe a professional development program, whatever it is for you that was relevant or is relevant or has been for some time for you to move the needle in your life. You're creating that. You're creating space, more abundance, because it's also bringing you into a place of greater expansion. Like, more things are available to you now. Yeah, like the other stuff that was holding you back or limiting you, you are finding ways to cut that off, close the door, sever the cord. And I feel like you're getting into that energy of Queen of Swords. It doesn't feel like that ruthless, but it feels like done, decision done. This person takes too much of my time and energy, or these people don't fully understand or appreciate me, or the social media platform takes too much of my energy, or this job keeps me inside too much. I need access to nature. Whatever your situation is, it's like, done. It's just like, I'm not messing around. That's the kind of energy, like you're not messing around anymore. What's falling into place? Your own ownership, your own inner leadership, your own self-responsibility, your own action taking, you stepping up to the plate. How are you ever going to experience a home run if you haven't even stepped up to the plate, right? You stepped up to the plate and you're saying, I'm ready. Come hell or high water, no matter what comes up on this path, no matter what obstacles I face or what hurdles I must cross or what bridges I must cross or what mountains I must climb, I'm in this and I'm in it to win it. I'm going to do the darn thing. That's totally different from someone who's sitting on the sidelines or who's considering going to home base or who hasn't even approached to get on the team or even sit on the bench. Do you see how that's a totally different energy? When you are ready, the universe knows, life responds, spirit shows up. When we aren't ready, we show up in that way. We're saying, I don't really know, I'm not really ready, it's not really worth it to me. You got to get to that point where it is worth it. You got to get to the point where you do have the energy. You got to get to the point where you do have the right mindset. You got to get to the point where you are ready and to, swerve and this and that and be able, be able to be defensive and tactical and where you can respond to life. Like you got to be kind of ready for that stuff. Meaning life isn't always easy, we'll say, right? And so if we're going to get knocked down at every turn or allow ourselves to be debilitated, we might not be ready to go join the baseball team and show up at first base. What is it? I already said it. But when you show up to bat, if you are scared of the ball or you're scared to touch the bat or you're scared of the umpire or anyone else, or you don't want to get too close to people, like all those weird things, they're not weird. We are all human. We all experience these things. But all these things we can experience, it's like we probably wouldn't show up to bat. We wouldn't sign up for the team. We just wouldn't be ready. And life knows that. Life responds to that. But then we find ourselves, we get to a point where we are ready. We approach the bat. We grab it firmly. It no longer scares us. We can hold our head high. We can drop our shoulders. We can take a deep breath. We can wait for the ball. And we're fully standing in our, filling our own shoes and we're ready. And then it's, home run or whatever. So that's where you are. What is falling into place for you is you stepping up and owning SHIT for you. And this is what's going to clear the way, clear the path for all the abundance that's been wanting to come for you, that life has been waiting on for you. So you are right on path. You're right on par. You're in that zone. You're in that energy. You're in that space to be able to move forward in the way that you desire. And as long as you continue and move forward and again, keep coming to bat and not running away from the opportunity or taking a seat at the bench or giving up or walking away, you are going to accomplish your aim. Whatever it is you set your eye or mind to, this is for you as long as you keep showing up. All right, card pile 1. This is your reading for today. If you enjoyed this reading, that resonated for you, do share your story in the comments, like, subscribe, press the bell icon, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 1. All right, so card pile 2, what is falling into place for you now? So I feel like you're leaving behind a time of deep healing, reflection, insight, introspection, reflection, where you did a lot of self-repair work. You did a lot of self-healing work. You did a lot of repatterning or reprogramming. You did a lot of getting to know yourself, getting to know your life, the players in your life, the roles that you've played, the hats you've worn, the characters you've played. You had the opportunity to really move through or sift through and unpack your stuff, your old stuff, your new stuff, how it's all been connected, how it's not been connected. You've been able to, there was something else here, but you've gained a lot of insight and clarity based on this deep reflection period and healing period. And now you are coming out of it sort of brand new. But it feels brand new, meaning that it's like you've been reborn. So you've just come out of the birth canal and you're like, I will see where you're headed here from here. Obviously, we've just started the reading, but I feel like you're refreshed, you're renewed, you're reinvigorated. You have been born anew. So you've released a lot of the old energy, the things that might have held you back in previous times or previous chapters of your life. This has probably taken form, meaning it's like you've probably lost people or people close to your relationships. Obviously more rarely by death, but this could be by breakups or ghosting or no longer connecting with people or people simply falling away. Maybe old jobs too, old just relationships with different things in your life, maybe loss interests and some passions and activities. Things no longer tickled your fancy. You probably went through a period of time where things just didn't excite you as they once did. So I feel like you're leaving a lot of these old patterns and old ways behind, the things that didn't serve you or held you back. And at the very least, even if it doesn't feel like you've released a lot, well, number one, you have grown a lot, and you're reborn in a lot of ways. You're ready for the new. It's a new chapter, a clean slate, and you are moving forward into your next chapter. So what is falling into place? I think it's the things that you've yearned for, longed for, wanted, dreamt of, or wished for. Now, some of you might not have been 100% clear on exactly what form these things would take, but these feel like those longer range things that a lot of people yearn for. So maybe it's not the exact cookie cutter thing, or maybe you don't have perfect clarity on exactly what it is you want. Some of you might. But I feel like it's those long range things. Like everyone wants a happy, healthy home and family, or a partner or companion to love or enjoy or appreciate, either one or more partners. Some people want children in the long term. Some people want most people want a fulfilling career that honors their purpose and passions, something that actually gives genuine contribution to the world. Again, a place to even call home. So a town that you appreciate and love, and a home that you can call your own, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like those long range things that most people yearn for or aspire toward. I feel like you're on the path of that now. And that whatever happened to you before, what you moved through or just navigated, has cleared the way, cleared the path, or even made things clear as to A, what it is you want, B, how you get there, or C, made it possible for you to get there. So you are stepping into the energy, we'll say, or the chapter of your new, I don't want to say new life, but new beginning, that does have that 10 of Cups kind of vibe, where it has all those things that emotionally fulfill you. Like all the things are, all your ducks are in a row, but not like that linear organized thing. I just mean like you're lit up in your career and purpose. You're lit up in your relationships, love and romance. You're lit up in your home and family. You're lit up in health and wellness and well-being. So it's like all the things are falling into place. Now this again does feel more longer term or longer course, meaning this is the new beginning. So it doesn't mean that everything's going to be here tomorrow when I say what is falling into place for you now. Some of you may find some disappointment in that. I feel like most of you have a general acceptance or awareness around that you do recognize this is a fresh start or new beginning, so that things will take some time, at least in 3D time, space, reality, to plant seeds, to grow, to be watered, nurtured over time, to then blossom. But you probably have a feeling, and this is being affirmed for you now, that this is the chapter where you experience the greater wealth, abundance, and fulfillment of your life. This is the chapter where you get to experience all the things that you've worked hard for, quote unquote, over the course of your life. It's like, this is the chapter or part of your life where you do experience the profits, right? The fruits of your labor, not true profits, or that could be financially, but I'm sort of speaking to those, again, that long range, long-winded thing of our lives. My words today, I just don't even know. But you know what I mean? Where you're experiencing the fruits of your labor, the harvest is coming in. This is the chapter where you get to receive. This is the chapter where you do get to experience the harvest. It was like you went through that experience of that narrow, restricted, dark birth canal that maybe felt pretty uncomfortable or even difficult at times, or that felt like life had turned against you. But in fact, you were being reborn. It was bringing you right where you want to be. It was delivering you to this fresh start, this new beginning, so that you could put into place the things that you are meant to, and then of course experience and receive or achieve the things that you were meant to, or the things that are meant for you. I feel like at this point on your path now, it's going to be important for you to be very intentional, very consistent, very focused, give your actions some directionality, because the energy is here now. What you needed in terms of energetics or consciousness or awareness is now in place, or at least coming into place. Even if it's a little bit shifty or wobbly, it's like anchoring and firmly and rooting in. And then now the other part of that, though, is taking the action, putting one foot in front of the other and doing the thing. So you might need to be getting disciplined. You might need to be getting organized or focused, or making an action plan, or maybe getting a mentor or some support in your corner to keep you focused. It's like the energy is in place. Now the physical action piece is necessary or relevant. The implementation piece of cutting out distractions, cutting out BS, cutting out the things that really aren't relevant, necessary, or meaningful for you, cutting out the things that don't light you up or fulfill you, and being clear and intentional with your actions, with how you move forward, with where you want to go from here. And that way you can actually create and achieve what it is you want to create and achieve. And that way also, right, you get to experience that harvest, that fulfillment, that 10 of cups. Like the birth canal that you went through, we could say it was a dark night of the soul. It doesn't really feel like that because I think it's no longer relevant. Like that has expired, that sort of energy or vibe to it, because you've stepped out onto the other side. But you went through this rebirth. You're now on the other side. You're stepping into the new energy, the new chapter, the foundation that's going to ultimately, eventually give birth to this rising of you, of your life, of who you are, who you were meant to be, your destiny, your vision, your dreams, your greater manifestation. Part of the work here in maintaining this path, in addition to physical implementation and staying the course and getting some support to do that if need be, that way it can be practical and you can develop some roots and really bring this into physical reality or manifestation, is really tending to yourself in all the right ways, being compassionate with yourself, speaking to yourself differently, treating yourself differently, caring for yourself differently. There is something here about maintaining this quote unquote vibration or level of consciousness or awareness where you are being good to yourself and taking care of yourself on the way up or on the way there. So there is supposed to be on this path, not only, right, this change in focus or direction, not necessarily a change, but making sure that if you want to create something or achieve something, and in this particular chapter where you are meant to reap great reward and experience great harvest, part of it is being focused and intentional and being consistent and disciplined. And the other side too, right, is maintaining the energy. And your biggest piece here, your biggest key, your biggest takeaway is how you treat and care for yourself. So ensuring that you are keeping yourself in a place of greater wealth or wellness or well-being. This feels like good nourishment. This feels like it could take the form of how you care for yourself with diet or nutrition, exercise. This could take the form with how you take care of yourself energetically, energetic hygiene or clearing or supporting yourself. This could take the form of how you support yourself emotionally and tend to your more tender and vulnerable parts. This is how you treat yourself and take care of yourself when you make a mistake or you hit a road bump or a roadblock, or you kind of trip and fall and stumble. Pick yourself up? How do you treat yourself and support yourself or mend yourself through that, and that you pick yourself up and you keep going too, right? This pattern, this path should look different than how it looked before, because who you were before is a different person. And now you've been equipped and resourced to behave, to respond, to react, to show up in a different way. You're in a new energy. And so maintaining that as well on your way to where if you fall and bump and get a bruise, it's not the end of the world, but you do support yourself. You do care for yourself. You don't just forget about it, gloss it over and say, bypass it and move on. But you also don't stay down on the ground and wallow in it and then never get up again, right? So there is something here about self-compassion, taking care of oneself, and especially the words that you speak to yourself. How are you speaking to yourself? Are you caring for yourself? Are you saying kind words to yourself? Is there a subconscious or conscious inner critic? Are you being hard on yourself? Are you being hard on yourself when you make a mistake or make a misstep? Are you scared to make a mistake? These are going to be your biggest keys moving forward that you're going to continue to tweak as you move forward. What's falling into place? Your new beginning, your next chapter, your harvest. This is the chapter where you experience the harvest and all of the fruits of your labor for a lifetime, a laboring of love over the course of a lifetime, all your personal growth and development work and everything that you've done to apply within yourself and in your world over the course of your life. It's all coming back to be shown and revealed to you now. And I feel like the biggest keys as you move forward, the takeaways from this reading is how you treat yourself, how you care for yourself, the words you speak to yourself, and what was that final, the final key was how you speak to yourself, how you care for yourself, but also how you respond to make mistakes, and that you aren't responding in fear of making a mistake or in fear of failure or defeat, because that's going into that old energy, right? And now it's about putting into practice a new energy, a belief in yourself, an anchored belief in yourself, an empowered belief in yourself. So card pile 2, what's falling into place is your next chapter, your great harvest, the thing that you've worked so hard for over the course of your life, the thing that you might have even thought was off the table and no longer going to happen for you. But during that birth canal and that hardship or challenge, walking the valley of the shadow of death, whatever that was for you that felt very narrow or dark or difficult for a time, has now delivered you into a different energy to where you're now capable of bringing to life what it is that you sought for and wanted to create and have aspired toward over the course of your life. And your biggest keys are now getting focused, taking necessary action, getting the support if you need it, and tending to yourself well on the way there. All right, card pile 2, do let me know if this lands, resonates in the comments. Like, subscribe, press the bell icon, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 2. Card pile 3, what is falling into place for you now? So I feel like you have been or are in the middle of what we might consider an initiation. This could be a darker period of your life, a more challenging period of your life. Now, I am wondering, as we're opening and as we get through the other cards, I think we'll get a clearer picture, but I am wondering if you are on the tail end of this or if you're still in it and you haven't really yet been to the, or like seen the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm feeling like it's more like you're still in it, in the thick of it, and unsure of where things are going or what's happening or if it's going to work out for you. And that's not even clear yet. That hasn't pinpointed the energy here. But I feel like you do have some big dreams. You do have some big visions for yourself. I feel like you have some big long-term dreams, aspirations, visions, and an aim for yourself that is important to you. But I do feel like you are relatively deep in a healing period or processing period where you are still gaining clarity about yourself, still gaining clarity about how you want to move forward or what you actually want to do or how you would best be of service. Or it almost also feels like a need to tend to yourself, maybe, and not that you have to do it exclusively, but it does feel like you have to tend to yourself more than you're, say, tending to others. Like this feels more of like a time inward and a time focused on self, or a time focused on healing or healing self, than it does being out there and doing the thing and showing up and contributing and servicing, you know, that kind of energy. But it doesn't mean that's not relevant for you. The whole point is whatever you're going through now is precisely relevant and directly related to where you're going and where you want to be and where you want to go. So part of your work here, a part of the assurance that's being provided here, is everything is happening in divine timing, divine order. All of this is serving you. All of this is serving the big vision, the greater destiny. Even if it's hard to see it, even if you can't fully understand it, even if you don't even know how it's helping or if it's helping or if you're getting anywhere, or if you're still just kind of sitting in the same stuck boat that you have been for who knows how long, because the time or journey will differ for each and every one of you. It's like, yes, this is taking you somewhere. Yes, this is going to deliver you right where you want to go. Yes, there is a quote unquote like ending period and or shift out of this energy. This is more so, this is an initiation or healing period to not only support you, but prep you in order to, it's like feels relevant to the soul's journey. Like this was important for your soul. This period was important for you to heal from some experiences, patterns of the past, that were necessary for you to sort of move through, shift through, change, navigate, something like that for the soul. So maybe your soul came here to experience something specific in terms of healing or healing from a certain pattern, program, trauma, or wounding. Perhaps the soul, for example, wanted to move from self-doubt to self-trust, or perhaps the soul wanted to learn what it feels like to not belong or be an outsider, be rejected, to then learn to be authentic and stand in one's own shoes confidently, proudly, and be oneself authentically. Maybe the soul wanted to learn what it was like to go through profound experiences of, say, trauma, addiction, or whatever, and come out the other side and then be in a position to help and serve others. So whatever form, flavor, texture, experience that your experience takes, there's something here that the soul is learning that's important for your journey, and that ultimately it also brings you to a place of where it is you want to go in terms of the ego level, right? And not that they have to be different, but our ego tends to want, our soul too, I think those can be paired and married to a degree. But I feel like, you know, you have those big dreams, big visions, big aspirations for yourself, where you see yourself, what you know you're meant to do, or what you know you're meant to share, or that you know you're meant to have a big platform or share a big message, or at least an important one, or at the very least do some really important, meaningful work in the world. So that's important to you. And part of the path is going through this period that's going to bring you there. So this is whatever you're going through right now is important for the journey of your own unique identity, as well as your soul, and it's bringing you where you want to go. Yeah, a lot of your journey now is learning that you're lovable. It's learning that you're worthy. It's learning that you get to have things too, that you get to receive too, that you get to experience abundance too. I feel like the path that you're on, the healing period that you're in right now, is supporting you to work with the parts of you that believe that you're unworthy, or that believe that you don't get to have blank, the parts of you that tend to hold back from receiving, the parts of you that tend to give to others, or are codependent with others, or seek for approval, that don't know how to give to yourself, that primarily give to others, that believe in a foundational lack of worthiness in yourself. A lot of that could be stemming from, for many of you, or even most of you, but I know it's not going to be the case for all of you. This could also be due to profound trauma in early childhood or childhood. Could be adolescence, but I do feel some flavors of challenges with trauma, abuse, and addiction, or even toxic relationships at different points in the period, in your growing period, in your early years, that could have gone on for many years. Your life path doesn't have to match up with that perfectly, but the parts that land and resonate for you, those of course will resonate. Take the parts that resonate, leave the rest. But you're learning that not only that you are worthy and enough to receive and lovable to receive, but also that it's safe. I feel like you're learning safety. You're learning what that feels like. You're learning how that's different from where you came from. And perhaps you have a fundamental sense of unsafety. So you're learning how to create more safety in your body, in your field, in your experience, so that you're able to receive. Giving you an example here. A lot of people feel like people don't always realize that it can feel unsafe to receive love. So let's just say you are someone who's born into a family, and even if it wasn't like crazily traumatic or dramatically traumatic in a very clear way, there was one thing, we also have obviously CPTSD, which is complex trauma over the course of the life. That could have been a series of things or a number of things, not necessarily one thing. But let's just say you're born into a family that just couldn't give to you emotionally, perhaps even physical resources weren't always there. You didn't have a true role model or authority figure to properly care for you, nurture you, show you the ropes, and offer you individual, undivided attention. So you're kind of a little bit lost, didn't have a whole lot of validation to fully find yourself, find safety and security within yourself. Even if it was something simple like that, you might grow up to be someone who's terrified of love. Now, I'm not saying this is your experience, but I am giving you an example of what I mean, where we sometimes don't feel safe to receive. So this person grows up to be an adult who's unsure of themselves, insecure, has never really been validated, has never had a whole lot of emotional support or nurturing, doesn't really know what it's like to have someone back them or have support at their side. So that's going to be scary, if not terrifying, for that person to encounter what real love is. Someone who is stable, someone who's loving, someone who's warm, someone who's secure, someone who will back them, speak for them, advocate for them, someone who will show up for them, someone who will be emotionally available for them. That's going to scare the living daylights out of them, simply because they've never had it. At the very least, it'll just feel like out of the comfort zone and new. My point is that sometimes we have to learn safety in that, and those experiences of greater abundance and greater love. It takes, quote unquote, time for the energy field, the body, the self, to be able to create space for better and better experiences, for the upgrades, for the energetic upgrades of the self and the energetic upgrades that happen in life. Greater romances, greater job, greater income, the greater things that we all seek for as human beings, the greater manifestations. Some of you, in terms of big dreams and manifestations, might even be seeking fame, and yet you can barely receive love in your everyday life from your spouse. So if that's the case, this is what we're talking about. You're going through a period of great healing so that these parts can be nurtured, supported, even strengthened, so that you can trust yourself, so these parts of yourself can trust yourself. Some of this might be reparenting work. Some of this might be inner child work. But all of this is happening naturally, organically, unfolding over time. It's not something you have to be perfect at or know or have all the answers with. You will find your place. Like, all of this will happen naturally. You will find your thing, or the healing, or whatever it is that you seek, as long as you remain open, available, and receptive. Oftentimes life, God, Great Spirit, does the healing work for us. As long as we stay open to the path, receptive, willing, trusting, things will unfold for us. We will come out the other side. But you're learning to love yourself well, to allow love in your life, to allow abundance in your life, right? So if it's hard for you to receive a massage, from a friend, or a gift card, or a coffee, can you imagine how it would feel, or how it would be hard to receive a $10,000 payment from someone? My point is recognizing there is, for this pile, an opportunity to learn how to feel safe in receiving both love and abundance, or love and abundance in all forms. And this has to do also with tending to those vulnerable, scared, tender parts of you that have maybe hidden away for a lifetime, or didn't know it would get its needs met, or didn't know how it will get its needs met, or sort of resorted or defaulted to not getting its needs met. These are just the parts of you you're getting to know, getting to nurture, getting to care for as you move along and progress in your path. And as you're doing this, again, things are going to happen and unfold in all the right ways. You're going to be brought into a space where you are eventually in a self-loving place. You do feel safe being able to open up and receive. You start to open up and receive in little ways, and then a little bit bigger ways, and then medium ways. And then next thing you know, you're able to receive love and abundance in many forms, and you don't even know how it happened, but it does, right? Meaning everything doesn't have to be so methodical and strategic either. There might not be one final answer or one way in which this all takes place, but I think you're already on the path. I know that. I can feel that you're on the path of healing. You are relatively focused. You might be a little bit confused, a little bit uncertain, a little bit unsure how it all unfolds, works, lands, whatever, or materializes or manifests for you, but you are on the path. There is a light at the end of this tunnel, whether you can see it or not. And the light that you eventually reach has to do with a more healthy, healed, whole self that's able to hold space for not only a lot of love for self, but love from others and abundance from others. Yeah, so getting in touch more with your spiritual self or spiritual side too is supportive and part of your work on the path now. Perhaps it might have to do with too, no longer or not as much identifying with the limited ego self, and instead identifying with self with a capital S. So being able to see your story, your experiences, your ego, your conditioning, your wounding for what it is, and perhaps not putting too much weight or clout in that, taking your power back, being able to identify when these things are coming up, when these limitations or ideas or stories or old experiences are coming up, recognizing that it doesn't have to be you anymore. That's not how you have to identify or define yourself, and it doesn't have to be relevant or meaningful for you anymore, that you can choose and act differently and tend to yourself on the way, slowly edging outside of your comfort zone, but not always necessarily. Sometimes you do, but taking that giant leap that could crash and burn. Some people do that. You're not being guided toward that. You're being guided toward safe, slow baby steps where you're able to open up that shell and allow yourself to be loved, cared for, nurtured by yourself and also by others. Letting go of the guilt too. So some of you, again, might feel guilty about receiving any love, again, because you've hardly received much of any or any form. So you don't even know how to receive, or it feels uncomfortable to receive, guilty, unsafe, right? So recognizing that as it happens, recognize that you can feel how you feel when you feel it. Let your emotions be felt as sensations, not having to put too much meaning into it or too much don't give it too much traction or belief in order to make it an ongoing identity or reality, and instead recognizing it for what it is, feeling the emotion, if it is guilt, if it is fear, letting that run through you, and ultimately to completion, resolution, or whatever, where you can now be in a space to be like, okay, that's how I feel about it. And what's next? How am I going to choose from here? And then how am I going to tend to myself as I continue to take these baby steps? But the best way you can move forward, what's falling into place for you now, I feel like what's falling into place for you is the opening of a new chapter, a new beginning that hasn't quite opened itself or revealed itself in full yet. But that's because you're deep in a healing period, a reflection period, an introspection period. So you can experience a lot of what we're talking about here and learn what's more or less gotten in the way of greater love, abundance, and manifestation. So you can support and nurture yourself and then take these secure, safe baby steps one by one by one. Doesn't feel like big leaps are warranted. It feels like that would bring you right back. So if you're feeling like things are slow, recognize there's something about slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to rush there, because even if you did, you could always come back like a rubber band and then kind of ruin all the progress that you made. There's something that's slow and steady steps that feel safe and secure, that feel like baby steps. We're able to find safety in each of those steps. And then slowly and surely you'll find that things are coming together, that you're feeling a little bit better. You're feeling a little bit lighter. The same fears and doubts don't have the same kind of hold that they once did. You're no longer adhering to old limitations or old beliefs. The old memories, stories, and things don't haunt you or come up as much as they once did. But this is a natural, organic, unfolding process. It's happening for you now, and you are being delivered to the higher ground that you seek, that greater vision you want to hold and carry for yourself. You will create that space as long as you stay on track. You stay right here, present with yourself, this moment, your body, and slowly and surely be able to avail yourself, open yourself, make room for the greater dreams, and manifestations of love and abundance that you have sought or that you seek. So card pile 3, that's your reading. Do share your comments, feedback, stories below. Like, subscribe, press the bell icon, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 3.